In the hushed stillness of the city's bustling animal shelter, one cage stood apart, a silent island avoided by all. Within its confines resided Blaze, a formidable German shepherd whose piercing gaze and rumbling growl sent shivers down the spines of even the most seasoned workers. His legend preceded him, aggressive, unpredictable, untouchable. Stark, danger, do not approach signs adorned his kennel, grim testaments to his volatile nature. Whispers among volunteers painted a grim picture of shaken, bleeding handlers. Blaze, in their eyes, had ceased to be a rescue. He was a ticking time bomb. Days bled into weeks, and Blaze became a forgotten shadow, his cage a mere blur in hurried glances. He remained isolated, a snarling silhouette against the world, a lost soul abandoned by hope. But fate, ever the weaver of unexpected narratives, had a different chapter in mind. The shelter staff, in their earnest efforts, had exhausted every avenue. Behavior specialists, seasoned trainers, and local rescue groups had all met the same unyielding resistance. Blaze refused treats, recoiled from kind words, and met gentle whistles with bared teeth and a guttural warning that froze all who dared to approach. Mrs. Harris, an older volunteer whose hands held the wisdom of 30 years spent with troubled dogs, shook her head, her voice heavy with sorrow. "That dog's been broken," she murmured one evening, securing his cage for the night. His body bore the silent stories of a harsh past, faint burns marring his side, an old injury causing a subtle limp, and eyes that swirled with a potent cocktail of fear and rage. One rain-soaked afternoon, as the shelter echoed with an unusual quiet, a small figure entered, a 7-year-old girl named Emma clutching her father's hand. Unlike other children her age, Emma wasn't seeking a playful puppy. She was searching for a companion, any companion. Her steps faltered before Blaze's cage. Her father gently tried to steer her away, his voice laced with concern. "Not that one. Honey, he's not safe." But Emma remained rooted, her gaze locked with Blaze's fierce defensive stare. And in that protracted moment, something shifted. Blaze, for the first time in what felt like an eternity, didn't growl. He simply looked back, silent and still. Emma, with a quiet understanding that belied her years, knelt before his cage, her tiny hand resting flat against the cold metal. No words were exchanged. No sudden movements disturbed the stillness. Only a profound connection between two kindred spirits. The staff watched in stunned silence as Blaze, the untouchable, moved closer to the bars, his large body taut with a hesitant curiosity. In that shared gaze, two broken souls seemed to recognize a familiar ache. From that day forward, Emma's visits became a daily ritual. Despite her father's initial reservations, Emma's unwavering determination and the undeniable connection he had witnessed swayed him. After school, rain or shine, Emma would make her way to the shelter, finding solace in the quiet company of Blaze's cage. The staff, initially cautious, placed a chair a safe distance away. But Emma didn't mind. She would sit there, legs swinging gently, reading aloud from her favorite books, humming soft melodies, or simply sharing the details of her day with Blaze. And in his corner, Blaze would listen, still and silent, the usual snarl absent. Weeks unfolded, and a subtle transformation began to take hold. The rigid tension in Blaze's posture softened, the fiery intensity in his eyes mellowed into something akin to hope. Then, one afternoon, a small miracle unfolded. A stuffed toy slipped from Emma's lap and rolled towards the cage. A collective breath hitched in the air as everyone braced for Blaze's reaction. Instead, he cautiously inched forward and sniffed the toy. Emma didn't reach for it, her smile radiating warmth and understanding. That small, careful interaction marked the dawn of a new beginning. For the first time since his arrival, Blaze offered a fragile hint of trust. Saturday morning arrived, carrying with it the promise of change. Emma appeared early, a small sandwich clutched in her hand. Settling into her usual spot, she carefully unwrapped her lunch, took a bite, and then gently tossed a tiny piece towards Blaze's cage. The room fell into a profound silence, the ticking of the wall clock the only audible sound. Slowly, almost tentatively, Blaze crept forward and sniffed the crumb. He glanced at Emma, then back at the food, and then, as if making the most momentous decision of his life, he ate it. Astonished glances were exchanged among the shelter staff. Emma giggled softly, her movements deliberate and gentle. She tore off another tiny piece, offering it on her open palm, resting it just inside the cage. Blaze hesitated longer this time, his muscles coiled, his breathing quickened. But then, with a visible tremor, he reached out and delicately took the offering from her hand. Tears welled up in the shelter manager's eyes. It wasn't just about the food. It was about the breaking down of walls, the dawning of trust. Blaze had crossed an invisible barrier that had held him captive for so long. From that day forward, the transformation accelerated. Blaze began to approach Emma when she arrived, a silent acknowledgement of their burgeoning connection. This small girl with an immense heart had somehow found the key to unlock the prison around his. As the bond deepened with each visit, Emma introduced simple games, gently rolling a ball towards his cage. Initially hesitant, Blaze eventually responded, batting it back with a playful paw, eliciting peals of delighted laughter from Emma. The shelter staff watched in awe as Blaze, the once ferocious dog, now lay calmly whenever Emma was near, even letting out soft whimpers when she left, pressing his nose against the bars as if pleading for her to stay a little longer. Witnessing this extraordinary connection, Emma's parents arranged for Blaze to have time outside his cage during her visits. In a secure yard, Emma would sit on a bench, tossing treats and speaking to him in soothing tones. Slowly, tentatively, Blaze began to inch closer until one unforgettable afternoon, he rested his massive head on her lap. Tears streamed down Emma's face as she gently stroked his fur. Emma hadn't just tamed a wild dog, she had healed a heart that everyone else had deemed irreparable. Moved by the profound bond between their daughter and the dog, Emma's parents sat down with the shelter director. After heartfelt conversations, the completion of paperwork, thorough home checks, and promises of continued training, it became official. Blaze was going home with Emma. The day Blaze left the shelter was etched in everyone's memory. Staff members lined the hallway, their goodbyes tinged with emotion, some even wiping away tears. Blaze, however, seemed unfazed by the change. He walked proudly by Emma's side, his head held high, his tail wagging freely for the first time anyone could remember. At home, he explored each room with a quiet curiosity, before finally settling at Emma's feet, as if he had always belonged there. Emma hugged him tightly, whispering, "You're safe now, Blaze. Forever." Blaze had found his family, but more importantly, he had found love, safety, and a place where he was finally understood, all thanks to one little girl who never saw. A monster, only a broken heart worth saving.